Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lilo, and today we're talking about who would win between current manga Luffy versus current manga Zoro. Stay steady in the pursuit of your dreams and goals, guys. You're born to win, you're made for greatness, and I definitely believe in you guys. Keep up the great work each and every day. This video is going to have manga spoilers all the way up to the most recent chapter of One Piece, which is 1049. So if you haven't read all the way up till there and you do not want to be spoiled, I would recommend leaving the video now. Okay, so here's the thing, dude. We saw both Luffy and Zoro fight the same character, Man Beast form Kaido. The feats that they performed against him is a very good indicator of how Luffy versus Zoro would actually go. So for one, Zoro, he blocked a combined attack from Kaido and Big Mom for 1 second, and it broke nearly all the bones in his body, and it was implied that if Law didn't use his room ability to get Zoro out of the way of that Zoro would have died. After having a good number of his bones broken, Zoro then uses his strongest attack at the time. He uses it against Man Beast form Kaido, and Kaido doesn't even fall over. And Zoro literally himself says, I was hoping that you would fall over. Like, he was doing his strongest attack, expecting it to knock Kaido on his back. Kaido was like, man, don't worry about it. That was a strong attack. Some of the translations were saying that's going to leave a scar. If that attack does leave a scar on Kaido, then you can make a very good argument that the Ashura that Zoro did is stronger than the Paradise Totsuka that Odin did that left a scar on Kaido many years ago, because that was a weaker Kaido than the one that Zoro fought. Then, right after that, Luffy in base form, without using his Devil Fruit ability at all. He doesn't wind up his arms, he doesn't stretch whatsoever, he just does 2 straight punches in base form using Advanced Conqueror's Haki, sends Kaido flying onto his back. It literally does the thing that Zoro was trying to do. A lot of people, when talking about this attack, this Ashura attack that Zoro did, they mention the fact that Zoro was near death when he did this. A lot of his bones were broken. So when he did this attack, it was not as powerful as it would have been if Zoro did it at the start of the fight, for example, when he was at full power and not injured whatsoever. That is true, but we also need to be fair about it and say, well, the same thing applies to Luffy, because he literally just took a Ragnarok directly to the face, and it did so much damage to Luffy that it actually knocked Luffy out. While Zoro, he was still able to remain conscious after blocking that attack for just 1 second, right? A similar amount of nerf to their power applies to both of them, because Zoro, he was near death, but so was Luffy, and they both did powerful attacks to the same opponent. So to just say that, well, if Zoro was at full power, it would have been way stronger than what Luffy did at full power, we can't objectively say that. All we can objectively say is both of them were near death. And Kaido even states that himself, that Luffy's near death, and he doesn't expect Luffy to be able to do much more at that point in the fight, and Luffy surprises him by unlocking Advanced Conqueror's Haki at that point. So what we see from that is that Luffy's base form punches with Advanced Conqueror's Haki is stronger than Zoro's. At the time, that was Zoro's strongest attack. Zoro also got the new ability, the King of Hell technique, but I'll get into that attack a little bit later in the video. Through the people that Luffy and Zoro have been fighting and showcasing like how well they're doing against these opponents, Oda's been working really hard to make Luffy relative to the Yonko, while Zoro is relative to the first commanders, which makes sense because Zoro's Luffy's right-hand man. Well, this should help you guys understand this better. Big Mom, she's considered to be a gigantic meme because she has about the intelligence of like an average baby. Her intelligence is so low that in a 1v1 fight against any of the Yonko, you could make a good argument that she would lose just because she's not that smart, and she's the only Yonko we've seen that has a stamina issue where about 5 to 10 hours into her fights, her attack power, everything drops significantly because she becomes really hungry. Big Mom, with all those limitations, she was so strong that when she was going on a rampage, Pero Sparrow said that if Big Mom turns on us, like all of her crew, that Big Mom would kill them all, Katakuri included. Big Mom was literally so strong that with all those limitations, she could solo her whole crew. Something to think about is like Katakuri doesn't disagree with this. If Katakuri was powerful enough to hold back Big Mom on his own or get Big Mom's attention while everyone else runs away, if Katakuri was strong enough to do that, they wouldn't have really had much to worry about. But that was never mentioned. It was never stated, especially when we consider like how Katakuri is protective of his family. If he was capable of stopping Big Mom, he would have said something, but he never did. And even with all of them together, they were still afraid of Big Mom and still thought like, hey, if she tries tries to fight us, all of us at once, she will win. Kaido, who's relative in power to Big Mom, you can make the argument that he would be capable of doing the same thing, that he would also be capable of soloing his entire crew. That paints a really good picture for us because we've seen Luffy have a very close back and forth fight with Kaido, while we saw Zoro struggling with just one member of Kaido's crew, which is a much weaker opponent than Kaido himself, especially if you consider the possibility that Kaido might be capable of soloing his entire crew by himself. And another thing to keep in mind is like the one member of Kaido's crew that Zoro is fighting, that one member is actually in a weaker state than they would be if they were at full power, and Zoro is still really struggling with them, while Luffy is having a back and forth fight with a much stronger character. The fact that Luffy is able to overpower Kaido's strongest technique, the fact that Luffy's able to take multiple hits from Kaido and trade blows, having an even fight with a weakened Kaido, it gives us a really good argument to say that Luffy is stronger than Zoro at this point in time. If Big Mom and Kaido can do all these like super crazy things, and they're this much more powerful than their crew, and Oda is working hard to make Luffy relative to at least relative to Big Mom now, don't you think it would make sense for Luffy to be stronger than Zoro, especially when Zoro is shown to be more relative to King? And you could also make the argument that Zoro might actually be weaker than King, and that the main reason he was able to defeat King was because King was in a weakened state when the battle started between Zoro and King, because King had taken damage from fighting Marco, while Zoro was at 100% because of the medicine that Chopper gave him. If I was having this discussion with someone who really, really loved Zoro, I would be nice to them and say, oh, yeah, you know, I feel like Luffy needs Gear 3 to beat Zoro. He's really strong, so Luffy would need Gear 3. But if I'm just having a discussion about this with someone who's neutral on the series, or that I know doesn't get really upset when you say power scaling things they disagree with, I would say, honestly, I think Gear 2nd is enough to crush anything Zoro has. And there's a lot of reasons why. A lot of people don't remember how big of a multiplier Gear 2nd actually is. Back in pre-time skip, when Luffy was first using Gear 2nd, the way it was introduced, they said that Luffy was amplifying his body to such a large degree that his body could barely handle the power increase. This is Luffy, who has always had disgusting durability. Literally right after that was stated, Luffy took 3 Rokuguns to the chest, stood up, and then did his strongest Gear 2nd attack at the time, to the point where he knocked out a guy that was confident he'd be able to kill the rest of Luffy's crew by himself. After having this super long fight with Luffy, Lucy's like, alright bro, if you can't get up, I'm just gonna go over there and kill the rest of your crew right now. I'm good to go, bro. Like, he was confident. Lucy at the time, using just intelligence, probably knew that Zoro and those other guys were capable of beating Kaku and Jabra, all that. And he's like, alright bro, if you go down right now, I'm gonna just go kill them, bro. Like, Luffy just proceeded to wail on him until the man was unconscious. The power-up was so big that Luffy could barely withstand it, okay? Then you have a Luffy whose base form, without using any named techniques whatsoever, is stronger than Zoro's second strongest attack. Then he stacks a multiplier on top of that that's so big that pre-time skip Luffy's body could barely withstand it. Then you stack on top of that Luffy can literally see the future, and on top of all that, Luffy has Rio, where his attacks negate durability. Because we've seen Zoro can take a lot of damage, he's a really durable character, but when you're fighting someone who has Rio, that really changes a lot of things. Now, let's talk about the King of Hell technique. First thing we need to ask ourselves is, would Zoro even be able to hit Luffy with that technique? Luffy can see into the future. We've seen earlier in the series that having advanced observation haki to the point where you can see into the future, it actually gives you the ability to dodge the majority of your opponent's attacks as long as your opponent is relative to you in combat speed. When Luffy fought Katakuri, you can make the argument that his reaction speed was actually a little bit faster than Katakuri's, or at least equal to it. This throws a lot of people off because when Katakuri fights Luffy, he shows that he's stronger and he also states that he's faster. But the important thing to notice is that when he states this, he's more referring to his travel speed rather than his combat speed. And the way you can prove that is, like, like Luffy, he's able to dodge Katakuri while Katakuri can see into the future and Luffy cannot see into the future. That's the majority of their fight. Luffy's still able to dodge a lot of fatal blows because for a big portion of the fight, Katakuri's using his mole spear and is unable to stab Luffy with it for a majority of the fight. The only way that would be possible is if Luffy's reaction speed is faster than Katakuri's. That's the only way it's possible because that means Katakuri's looking into the future, he's attacking where Luffy's going to be, and the only way that that would miss is if Luffy's moving so fast that he's actually gone by the time Katakuri reaches where Luffy was supposed to be. The only way that can happen is if Luffy's reaction speed is faster than Katakuri's, and we've seen that Katakuri did have actually the superior traveling speed. When he makes that statement that he's faster and stronger than Luffy, Luffy tries to run away from Katakuri, and then Katakuri just outruns him and then just kicks Luffy in the head. When Katakuri could see into the future and Luffy could not, on the other hand, Luffy had a really hard time hitting Katakuri. Every single attack that Luffy did while Katakuri was seeing into the future and Luffy could not, Luffy did not do any damage during that time period that we saw of the fight. Even though Katakuri had the slower reaction speed, he was still able to dodge everything Luffy did while using his advanced observation haki. Then you look at Luffy and Zoro. Luffy and Zoro are relative to each other in speed. This is shown because we see them both react to relative characters. Luffy, he's able to block and react to Man-Beast form Kaido, and Zoro is able to react to Kaido while he's in his dragon form. And then we also see Zoro reacting to Big Mom, where he's able to intercept attacks from Big Mom, and Big Mom is shown to be relative to Kaido. That all being said, Luffy and Zoro are relative in reaction speed, and Luffy can see into the future, but Zoro cannot. That's the exact same scenario that happened when Luffy was fighting Katakuri, and the result of that was, until Luffy could see into the future, most of Luffy's attacks were missing. Even when Luffy was amping himself with Gear 2nd and Gear 4, it's very likely that the same thing would happen if Luffy were to fight Zoro. So if Zoro tries to use his King of Hell technique, there's a very good possibility that he wouldn't even be able to hit Luffy with it, especially when you factor in that Luffy can use Gear 2nd to amp his speed even further. And then on top of all of that, Zoro has a big stamina problem. He only fought King for a few minutes, and he was saying that using Conqueror's Haki that way, if he continues to fight like that, the drain of the Conqueror's Haki itself would straight up kill him. So it's like, really, in all honesty, Luffy's a really bad matchup for Zoro because Zoro still needs to overcome that stamina issue right now, and Luffy has shown that he can fight for 11 hours straight in a fight where he's getting whooped. Like, when he was fighting Katakuri, he got whooped the majority of those 11 hours and still was able to win the fight. Now imagine him fighting someone that he's faster than, stronger than, and he can see the future, and he can negate durability. It's like, bro, it really isn't close at all. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know that upsets a lot of people. I know that upsets people because Zoro's a beloved character, but it's like, I'm just being really honest. It's not a close fight. Luffy really slaps Zoro around. This was me just talking about Gear 2nd. Gear 3rd, it is just disgusting. If he uses Rock Gatling even once, Zoro just turns into atoms, dude, like literal atoms. People don't realize how strong Gear 3 is. So we saw Luffy fighting Lucy. He hit Lucy with Jet Bazooka, Jet Pistol, Jet Whip, a whole like list of Gear 2nd attacks, and Lucy was still good. He was still fighting, he was still good. Luffy hits him with one Gear 3rd attack. It nearly knocks this man out. Gear 2nd, which is already a huge multiplier, then Gear 3rd is so strong that just a normal Gear 3rd punch with no haki is so strong, it's stronger than multiple Gear 2nd attacks strung together by like a significant margin. And then you add all these disgusting hakis to it. Armament haki, you add his Ryo that ignores durability, you add his Conqueror's Haki, Advanced Conqueror's Haki, which a lot of people don't realize this, but Advanced Conqueror's Haki was a bigger amp to Luffy than Gear 4 was, and I made a video talking about that as well. You stack all these disgusting things up together, and then you put a Gear 2nd amp on top of all of that, because the Rock Gatling is Gear 2nd, Gear 3rd at the same time while he uses Advanced Conqueror's Haki, and he can stack Ryo on that too. What would Zoro do against that? Like, I really want you to tell me, what do you think Zoro could even do against that? Because I'll tell you, nothing is the answer. He would just get killed. Okay, so I'm sorry. That's how the fight would go. So yeah, and it's like there's literally no need to even mention Gear 4. Like, are you really serious, bro? Like, come on, man. Come on, bro. We don't have to talk about that. And we definitely don't need to talk about Gear 5, bro. It's not close. If there's some characters that you would like me to power scale in One Piece, let me know too. If I like the characters a lot, then you'll probably see a video about it. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you thought about the video in the comments. Let me know if you agree or disagree with what I was saying, and let me know what you would like me to talk about next. Thank you guys for watching, and you have a great rest of your day.